Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. Brought to you by Blue Sky Business Consulting. We discuss 5 questions in about 15 minutes.
Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. Excited again to welcome you and excited to welcome our guest today. This is Orrin Klopper, and he is the CEO of Netsurit out of New York, New York. So, Orrin, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. What would you like the audience to know about Netsurit?
Yeah, so we're really an IT services business in the industry known as managed services. And if you're an organization that has broadly between 25 to 1,000 technology users, we can either be your IT department or we can augment your IT department from a managed service monthly management perspective. And then finally, we have a managed service called Innovate, which is really one of the first of its kind, where we offer an ROI guarantee, where if we don't find the total that you spend with us in a year in ROI, we will carry on working until we do. That's the gist of it.
Wow, that's a great offer. That's a great way to do it. Well, we obviously in this day and age of technology, we need these kind of services more and more and more. So I think that's great that you're doing that. All right, Orrin, let's get started with our questions. Then our first question, can you share an example of a time when maybe you had kind of a, as you've been building your business, a challenge that you've overcome that you're especially proud of, something that you've accomplished?
I think the biggest challenge that I overcame as a leader was letting go. In the early days of the business, Sean, when there were just about 10 of us and I walked past the boardroom and there was a meeting and I didn't know about it, I'd be like, I'll go in there like a megalomaniac and shout at them and say, what's going on? I was crazy. I was a dictator. It was war at that time, whether we were going to survive or not. And now so that challenge of trying to control everything and realizing that to multiply the quality of our leaders and managers, we need to let go. We need to be aligned on our objectives and what we're trying to achieve, but let them own the decision, let them own the way the problem is solved. And I feel it's something we've overcome. I see myself still slip back into it sometimes. So I keep on reminding myself that these people need to own these decisions.
I love that answer. That is such a significant problem that a lot of leaders face as they're growing the business. They want to keep their hands and their fingers in every little decision, and it just can't work that way. So I applaud you for making the effort to overcome that and trust your people and delegate appropriately. So that's a huge challenge for a lot of people. So well done for getting to that point. I think that's fantastic. You're welcome. Question number 2, how can leaders help foster and nurture creativity within the team or the company?
So the 2 pieces here in my mind. One, the way I spoke about it earlier, letting go. And, the book that probably covers it the best is called Multipliers by Liz Wiseman and Greg McKeown. And I think when you let go with leaders and managers and you say, look, this is the problem you got to solve. Here's all the information in the business. So we're very transparent: financial information, people information, customer information. Naturally now, here's the problem. Here's all the information I need. It brings out their creativity. And that's really where we've seen some magic happen. And then allowing those leaders and managers to make those mistakes. Like I've said to some of our managers before, where they've asked me to give a view on a hire, and I've said, in my opinion, I wouldn't hire that person. But our ethos in our business is the line manager owns that decision. And I've been wrong many times.
I love that example. And I love that you referenced Liz Wiseman's book about multipliers, because that is such a fantastic book that will help leaders understand how to delegate and also how to foster that creativity that you're talking about. Because if you let them own it, then not only do they take responsibility and accountability for it, but now they're letting the creative juices go a little bit. So that's fantastic. I love that you're allowing your people to have that space to create. Question number 3, and this is going to follow very nicely with what you've already mentioned a couple of times now. How can a leader help the team members or employees trust each other?
So the purpose in our business is supporting the dreams of the doers. And you might say, how does that statement connect to a technology services business? So the core pillar of that, or the primary pillar of that, is our culture and creating a safe space within our culture for people to focus on what they really want in their life. So it's an idea of you can do truly great work and you can be balanced. And this idea that your personal lives and your work lives are inextricably linked. And so often we work with someone, Sean, and we think we know them. I'm like, you can't help but you judge someone. And it's not judging in a negative way, but you think you got them. You form a view of them. And what we do in our culture is we encourage people to be open about what they truly want in their lives. And the way we've programmatized that is called a dream book. So it's your goals and dreams visualized. And then we do a thing called a dream connect. So, and there's something that happens when you are open about what you really want in your life and what is meaningful to you, that just creates this glue of trust. And there's something in the human spirit, irrelevant of what faith you might have, that when someone shares openly what they want in their lives in an authentic way, you want to see them achieve that. So it just creates this trust, which I love being part of this culture.
I love that. I love this idea of a dream book and a dream connect. And you're absolutely right. I love that concept of people on a team or in a company or however they're organized, being able to get together, share their dreams. And you mentioned an important word, authentically, and doing so in an authentic way. And that's going to help bring these people together and be able to trust each other and know that their dreams are all together and they're working together to help each other. So I love that. Dream book, dream connect. I love that. All right. Question number 4. Orrin, is there an experience that you can recall where you had maybe kind of a perceived failure, but you turned it into a win?
Well, sure. So many. And there's a long list of things that I always think if we were owned by a private equity firm or some other shareholders, that I would have gotten fired. So at the end of 2019, as we were going into 2020, we have quite a detailed strategic planning process. Our new financial year starts 1 March. And so October, November, we were looking at where we were at as a business and how do we need to change our strategy into 2020. Our organic growth was in a hole. We were having one of our worst years of organic growth that we'd had in the longest time. And we started hearing COVID and, what is this? So come now, January 2020, we're facing the worst organic growth we've ever had. Okay. We're facing a pandemic that is starting to rear its head. That is the greatest uncertainty that we've ever had. And we have 2 of our biggest customers that the writing's on the wall that we're going to lose them. The one did an insource, okay, that had nothing to do with our service levels. The other did a global outsource. We didn't have offices in those regions, so we were going to lose them. So we had to do 4, it was almost 4 rounds, depending how you look at it, 4 rounds of layoffs in 2020 that actually had nothing to do with COVID. So it was soul destroying stuff as a leader. But what we did is we did those layoffs, as tough as it was. We cut costs viciously, and we took those savings. We put 50% back into cash flow and profits to protect the future of the business. And we put the other 50% back into what we call the growth and innovation provision. And since then, we've almost doubled the business, and we've more than tripled our profitability. So from some of the darkest time in my time as an entrepreneur and leader to We're now in the most exciting growth phase we've ever been. We were listed on the Inc. 5000 last year. So yeah, touch wood. It went from darkness to amazing growth and excitement.
Oh, I love that. It is tough though. You get into those situations and boy, 3 to 4 rounds of layoffs. That's a tough thing to have to do. And
Very
yeah,
tough.
oh yeah, and I've been on that side of it, both the receiving and the issuing, and where you have to tell someone we have to let you go, and it's tough. It's tough, and I've been on the receiving end, and it's tough. So it is definitely something that's difficult, but you did it for the survival of the company, and now you're thriving. And so hats off for finding that right solution that worked for you to help the company not just survive, but now get into this where you're really thriving and growing at unprecedented rates. That is fantastic. All right, Orrin, our last question. Tell us a little bit about your first job.
So my official first job, apart from, I went to 9 schools. So each time I changed schools, I still had my school uniform that was pretty in good shape. So I realized I could sell that to make a little bit of money. So that wasn't a job. That was probably my first entrepreneurial interest. But the first proper job I ever had was working in a call center doing telesales. Okay. And basically you had to phone, you looked in the classifieds of the newspaper, whoever was selling their car, you had to convince them to sell their car in the, that's my daughter. Sorry about that. Okay. Boobs, I'm on a call. Boobs, you're gonna, Auntie V, just take her away, please. Sorry about that. That's my daughter.
Right. No problem.
I'm coming now, Boobs. So anyway, you had to phone them and convince them to advertise their car in a magazine called The Auto Trader, and it really taught me about prospecting, cold calling, and there was a number and a sign on the wall in the call center that said, "Do not phone this number." And this was the name of this was actually a dealer that was posing as a private seller. Anyway, I managed to phone him twice in that time.
Wow, what a great first job to help you with your entrepreneurial journey, though, because that's tough. Telesales are difficult, they're tough, and not everybody can do them. So, well, thanks for sharing that. And Orrin, thank you so much for taking time to be on the podcast today. How can people find you?
So the easiest way is just find me on LinkedIn. It's Orrin Klopper. You can find my profile there. I'm very responsive, and yeah, we can connect there. And yeah, it's just an easy way to find me.
Fantastic. Thank you again for being on the podcast. Really appreciate it. Thanks to everyone.
This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, go to teamengagementpodcast.com. We also invite you to follow or subscribe to our podcast wherever you may be listening or watching. Is your business thriving? Go to tbs-score.com to find out. Thanks for joining us today. Have a great day.